listening to Unity in Our Community on Radio Cardiff 98.7 FM.
If you've just tuned in, I've got the wild woman of the Wye in the studio today, Angela, who's talking all about river pollution and saving our rivers because water is life. And we were having a great chat in the break when we had the news and those tunes. And you recently turned down an offer to go on Survivor, which I thought was very interesting. So, I mean, I don't think I've actually even watched that program, but obviously like, I think you go to an island and you have to like.
So I was approached by the company that are making it. Would I like to, be a contestant on the show? And I didn't know nothing about it, so I quickly had a little snoot at it. But it would have been up to 8 weeks on a Caribbean island, and it would have been with 18 other people. And I'm very much an outdoor girl, so I've always known the wild, but I'm not fluffy. I say it and I do it as it is, and I just respect nature. So to go on an island with 18 people, I think I would have ended up probably swimming to another island. Because it really wasn't nothing too much about Survivor.
No.
It was,
TV.
It was TV. And I was told that it was a very good way for me to get my environmental campaigning over, to the public, and it being on BBC. And, my thoughts are it can be edited to look any way they want. So I wouldn't be happy with that. And also with the other contestants, I would really struggle with cattiness, and because I'm just honest.
I think that is not a bad quality.
And 100,000. Do you know what? That wouldn't float my boat at all. There's only one thing that I want. I want to enjoy the great outdoors. I want to share it with others, but I want to protect it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's very commendable. I think a lot of people would have been tempted by that 100K. I would have. Hang on a minute,
no.
But no, I think it's really good to stick to your principles, and like you say, we're all kind of like guardians of nature. Same as like I'm a guardian of my dogs. Like I'm like their dog mum. Looking after them while they're here on the planet. And obviously, it'd be great to, not leave the planet in a completely awful state for future generations. But also, recently you met Vaughan,
Yes.
and tell us about that. How come you met him?
So I had an invitation to meet up with Vaughan, on the Saturday just gone, and for the very next day. So I went along, met him in Chepstow. Nice to meet him. I'm open to speaking to everybody and anybody, especially if they're in power and they've got chance to bring change. And yeah, I had a good natter with him.
Yeah. Do you think he will bring about change?
We'll see. I've heard a lot of table talking and promises, and I'm after actions.
Yeah.
And we'll see. He came across as pleasant enough, and he spoke well. But again,
you just don't know.
You really don't know. I get a good aura about people. I try and read them as much as I can, and I can be, I will call them out as well. But I do feel that we need to work with people in power to bring that change. So we'll see.
Yeah. And
as a First Minister, I think he's a good choice for Wales. But let's wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice, wouldn't it, if Wales kind of, I don't know. I just always I feel like Wales has so much water everywhere. and it's kind of like known for like wild swimming, for the national parks, for nature, and for people come here to enjoy the beaches, and nature. That's why they come to Wales. So it would be really good if he could, he clean up the act of Welsh water and all these polluters.
And I spoke about Natural Resource Wales with him, and the diabolical way that they're protecting our natural resources, and he agreed with that as well.
Yeah.
So, and Welsh water, that definitely needs to be looked at. So there was communication there. There wasn't promises, but there was communication, and that's all. I
guess he has to wait and see. What happens.
But he was a nice. I can't say nice, but he came across, and I have been following him for a few years as well. So there's something about him.
Yeah. I also think as well that we have a lot of power in our communities.
Oh, hugely.
And we are the many. So, so let's talk about like what individuals, if they're listening and thinking, well, what can we do? Because I feel like that's part of the problem, is thinking, oh, the people in power are going to sort it out, or we can't sort it out, and we can't, which I kind of feel like needs to change, like that kind of way of thinking.
Yeah. So we've got to start off with thinking, yes, one voice can bring that change. One person can bring that change. And I've heard so many times, Ange, why are you bothering? You've been going for years. You haven't changed anything. I have. And what I've done, I've brought awareness to many others. And also I've empowered them to actually learn what to do. So from our own home, like I said earlier, when you flush the drain, think of the water that you're putting down there. Think of the chemicals that you're putting down your sink. Everyone should have a water bet. And then if we see pollution, and not necessarily everybody knows what they're looking at, but if you see pollution, or if you see something going wrong, report it. So when I'm in Westminster and I've got Natural Resource Wales there, or Environment Agency, and they go, oh, we've had less reports this year, it must be getting better. No, it's not. It's because people don't know how to report it. There is numbers out there with a 24/7 open line and an email, and all you have to do, like yesterday, I'm monitoring the otters. Not far from here. So I've been monitoring the otters, and I test the water regularly up that section of the river, and the river was off the scale with pollutants, phosphates, nitrates. So I phoned NRW. I reported it. It took me 2 minutes to report it. I get a reference number, and they have to look into it, and then they have to log that as a report of pollution. If we don't report it, they're not going to log it.
So we need an army of reporters then, with their little testing kits.
Think of yourself as, like, your own section of river or the coastline, and just think, right, okay.
Ooh, I'm going to do it, because I walk my dogs by the little river, and they obviously go in the river.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that since I got here, because I feel like drawn to water, like we all do. We're kind of made of water mostly. So we're kind of drawn to it. There's a little brook, and it goes through Roath, and it carries on a bit further, and it's so pretty and beautiful. But I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, it looks a bit funny today. Like the colour looks a bit weird. Like, why is it a bit like opaque-y, like a bit odd, like
foamy, or
and you're thinking, ooh, like that doesn't look right. Whereas when I first moved, like 3 years ago, to Cardiff, I was like, oh, this looks very clean. And like you're saying, you've been monitoring, and it's like the decline is really very recent. It's like in the last 6 years, with this agriculture and sewage issues. So who's up for it then? Any listeners out there going to get their kits? Get in touch. And we
Put
can
your
probably,
own, put your own groups together or organise through Facebook, like a meeting in your local area. I'll come along. I'll tell
yeah,
you what
that'd
to
be
do.
great.
And
Yeah.
like I kayak at the Taff quite a lot.
Mm.
And I see those combined storm outlets pumping out sewerage when they shouldn't be. And it's just getting yourself familiar with what you should be seeing and what isn't and doesn't look right as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did see as well, there's a river cleanup coming up in the, I can't remember where it is now, but there's like Cardiff River Action Group that are doing a lot of those.
They were there last night and
Yeah.
they're doing the cleanup. And that's great doing the cleanup because, you know, the amount of rubbish. And for instance, the Taff, I love coming down to the Taff and kayaking up it because the wildlife is just phenomenal.
There's a lot of birds.
Phenomenal,
Yeah.
yeah. But then the amount of rubbish that's in there. And that's down to us as well. But, you know, there's all different factors. So when I go to the top and I talk to the top polluters who are doing this, we all have to play our part in this role as well. You know, it stems from us at home to the big polluters. And we can all do something. And never, when I give talks in universities, schools, colleges, I always say to the youth, you know, that please don't get depressed about what's going on. Our generation has messed this up for you. We've allowed it to get to this state. So what we're going to do now, we're trying our best to bring change. And then through that next generation, the generation after that, you will see that progress as into the rivers getting cleaner, the seas getting cleaner, because we are not going to accept the way that our rivers and our seas are being used as open sewers. And that's by agriculture, that's by Welsh water. So, please don't get depressed about it. And don't think of it as a whole. Don't think of it as too big for you to take on. Chip away, choose your little area that you normally go to, keep an eye on it, and be that river detective or that water guardian.
Yeah, I'm really into that. I'm going to be a river detective for sure. And especially because it does feel nice to think that you can do something.
Yeah.
And I think as well, like, just think about what you're putting down the loo, because all the sink.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
wet
because
wipes are our biggest problem. They block so much up.
Yeah.
I started a petition 2 years ago. I got about 200 signatures to ban wet wipes. Now, hopefully, that is going to come into law.
What about the biodegradable ones that say they're
they
flushable?
say about those as well.
Is it real?
They're not any good either. They really do block it up as well. And then even if you do use a wet wipe and you put it in the bin, you know, those toxins are going into the ground. So wet wipes, you know, use a flannel.
Yeah.
Use something that's not like that. And the chemicals that we're using as well.
Yeah,
in our
because
homes. Bleach is a nightmare.
Every house you go to, more or less, has bleach in the toilet, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't, I have to say.
Do you know what? I went to Bristol when they... I went to Bristol to the Environment Agency when they had the nature survey came out, you know, with our species being in danger. And I went from Bristol over to this trendy coffee shop just across the road after being outside and handing a petition in from Chris Backham. And I'd been campaigning all day. Went to this really nice coffee little shop that said it was eco-friendly, had a nice coffee in this lovely little cup that was, you know, reusable. And then I went to the toilet and just by the side of the toilet was bleach. And then I used the hand sanitizer and I picked it up, and on the back of it, and it said harmful to aquatic life. And it's just like,
it's
some people are playing the game by going, oh, we're eco-friendly. It's like
you have to really think, I think, in your house or your environment to look at those ingredients.
Yeah,
and
look at the back.
Yeah.
Look at the back of it. See if it has those harmful ingredients in it.
The other day, I was having this block sink thing happening, and I was with someone else, and they're like, "Oh, isn't there any Mr. Muscle?" You know, and I'm like, no, like I just refuse to use that, and So what I do is like I just get bicarb and vinegar and hot water, and it really
Brilliant.
just
Yeah.
helps. It really does.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And that doesn't harm our rivers.
No, so I buy a big thing of bicarb,
Yeah.
a big thing of vinegar, and lemon as well. Lemon will get anything off, anything, you know.
Well, yeah, you think of the natural sprays for dogs, you know, and you're combing them through. You've got coconut oil, you've got all these different lemon. They don't, you know,
Yeah.
fleas don't like lemon. So it's all out, and it's old school as well. It's what we used to use.
Yeah.
We've come away from that. We've got lazy, and we just use what's in front of. But also, we've been brainwashed.
I don't think we need any of these products, guys.
We
Save your money.
We really don't.
You go back to these things, you know, natural things. You can make any cleaner with those three things, I reckon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can. And you know what I do in the countryside where I take people wild swimming, kayaking, wild camping. You know, I pull people back to the basics of just what they're about, but just living and protecting, you know, the environment that they're in. And it's so strange because when you first see people, and you might have women come to you and, you know, they've got loads of makeup on and they're worried about their appearance. And by the end of the experience, they're actually that person they used to be.
And they've relaxed.
They've lost that, you know, in tuneness with their body because they have to be seen or perceived as a certain way. And social media does that, you know. I really think, you know, it's awful for especially the kids coming through. But I spoke to, I think it's Derek Walker, the Future Generations Commissioner, you know, about our rivers and everything. And he promises there's going to be changes because he is the first Future Generations Commissioner in the world. And everybody's eyes are on Wales. Nowhere else.
That's what I mean. I think Wales can be a leader in the world.
It can.
And
it can demonstrate how we can do it properly.
how we can we can outshine everyone, and we can, you know, lead the way, show the way.
I love Wales.
You know, me too.
Yeah, it's my homeland, it's my country, and I absolutely adore it. But yeah, we're going down a path that is.
Well, I think we need to stop being influenced by Westminster so much, in my opinion, because, I mean, obviously that is where some decisions are made, and you know, but I think that also Wales, you know, has a chance to, you know, be different.
It's a big boys' club in Westminster.
Oh yeah,
it really is. But then, you know, the Senate in Wales. Do we need to be paying for more people to be in the Senate?
Well, that's a whole different programme, that is.
I really don't think so. You know, we limited to funds. We know that. So the funds that we have got, let's utilise them in the right way. And biggest thing, let's natural resource start fining the polluters and get a backbone.
Yeah, absolutely. Shouldn't be allowed to get away with, you know, with that pollution. Well, I like a rant, to be fair. I'm pretty ranty myself. I'm very, very controlled on the radio, but if you follow my personal account, I rant. My dad,
you.
I'm from a long line of ranters. My dad's a ranter.
Good on you, girl.
And now my son is. But you have to be these days. You have to stand up for what we believe in. We have to protect our environment. Mm-hmm. And we have to fight injustice. I mean, we're living in an absolutely crazy time as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And people like you are very inspiring, I have to say, because you're sticking to your principles and you haven't just, you know, you've done something about it. You're raising awareness. And you're inspiring me to be my little river detective now. So I wish you all the best. And I really, really am so grateful that you came in. It was lovely to meet you.
Really appreciate it. It's the first time I've been into a studio, and it's been wonderful. And it's all about the community and grassroots, and this is what this programme is about.
Yeah, and I think, you know, Cardiff has so many amazing little areas all together that make up Cardiff, you know, and each is its own kind of like special community. And that's what this show is all about, obviously. So thank you again so much. And what I'll do is I'll put this out on our YouTube channel, and
Mm-hmm.
I will tag all the organisations that people can go to, and tag
Wonderful.
yourself and all that kind of thing. So if people
Yeah.
want more information, they want to get involved, they can.
Yeah.
And
it's
yeah,
Angela Jones, Swim Wild Wye.
Swim Wild Wye.
If you want to
yes.
contact me, and we can make that change, and we can make that difference.
Absolutely. All right, then. Well, I'm just going to play one more song before I'm out of here, and it's the Link Up Show. We Are the Sun. This is nice. So thank you for listening, everybody, and I will see you next time. And thank you again, Wild Woman of the Wye.
Pleasure.